Greetings, esteemed masters. I am pleased to see you all again. I hope you have been well. I have heard that some of you have enrolled in training programs with both the Baron Do and the Matu. I am well pleased to hear this. I hope that your training goes well and that you garner new wisdom from the experience. Today, we are gathered to learn about yet another Force Order, though this one has a far more antagonistic history with the Jedi Order. We have never been overt enemies, and they remain as wary of the dark side as we do. But nevertheless, our history, it has conspired to plant the seeds of ill will. They are masters of telekinesis, and the strongest and most well-trained among them are even able to use this power to warp the fabric of space. I am speaking, of course, of the Zeison Sha. The Zeison Sha are younger than other Force Orders in the galaxy. Their inception took place during the opening years of the new Sith Wars. Darth Ruin had risen to power, and with him had come a return of the large-scale conflicts that had ravaged the galaxy in centuries prior. The original ancestors of the Sha were refugees of these initial conflagrations. They were rounded up by the Jedi and taken to the harsh world of Yanabar on the border of wild space for safekeeping until such a time as the Jedi could return the people to their homes. Unfortunately, the worst came to pass when all of the Jedi who knew of these refugees were slain in battle with the Sith. The people were left alone on a world that was not suited for habitation. It is important to understand just how unforgiving the world of Yanabar is. The summers there are scorching and dry, and the winters in higher latitudes are brutally cold. Much of the planet is scorched by powerful UV rays, and the areas around the equator are more often than not parched, barren wastelands. The planet was in no way suitable for humanoid habitation, and yet the refugees found a way to survive. They banded together into small groups, capable of caring for one another despite the harshness of the environment. Eventually, children were born who could command the Force, and these individuals employed their unique abilities in the service of their families. The constant struggle for survival shaped the people of Yanabar, and as a consequence, has shaped the Zeison Sha. They are fiercely independent and believe that self-reliance and dedication to one's family should come before all else. They can be a harsh, stoic people, but they are undying in their loyalty to those who prove their worth. Eventually, the people of Yanabar were able to regain the stars, and the planet grew into a trading hub for freighters exploring wild space. A city sprang up around the favored landing spot, and eventually it became the thriving spaceport of Tho-Yorla. Many of the Yanabarians left their world, but they never forgot their harsh beginnings, nor did they lose their fierce independence. If anything, re-exposure to the many species of the galaxy only reinforced the rugged individualism of the Yanabarians. They often see people from other worlds as soft, and in fairness, compared to the way of life on Yanabar, they are not wrong. The Zeison Sha left their world to travel the hyperlanes alongside their fellow Yanabarians, and because of this, they are not an uncommon sight along the border of the Outer Rim and wild space. Dedication to the family characterizes the method that the Zeison Sha use to train their initiates. Younglings who exhibit predisposition towards the Force are either trained directly by their parents or by the next closest family friend who is a member of the Sha. The Sha maintain a central temple known as the Sha Kalan in the city of Tho-Yorla, and a youngling is taken to this temple for further training once they are deemed by their parents or trainer to have mastered the fundamentals of Sha philosophy. Again, this philosophy is extremely individualistic in a way that is truly alien to Jedi. They place a firm sense of self-identity front and center in their training. However, the Zeison Sha teach that a person's sense of self is defined by their actions and by their commitment to those important to them. They see loyalty to family and close friends as an almost sacred thing, and any member of the Sha would gladly die for those close to them. This mix of altruism and individualism has created a unique, fierce culture. Almost all of the Zeison Sha have a strong personality. They will tell you how it is with no social trimmings, trappings, or filter. In a way, this almost brusque attitude is a perfect reflection of the world from which the Sha spring. It is worth noting that unlike us, the Zeison Sha have no restrictions on teaching their ways to older individuals. Indeed, the only prerequisite for training within Sha Kalan is that you are endorsed by another member of the Sha. They are all too willing to teach those that they consider to be friends, or those who have Yanabarian blood in their ancestry, no matter how far back. This does not seem to lead to any more issues with the dark side when compared to the struggles that our own order deals with. And the Sha do struggle with the dark side, make no mistake. Their almost fanatical adherence to individualism and self-reliance ensures that they must always be on guard. After all, individualism can all too easily turn to selfishness and self-reliance into a hunt for power. The Zeison Sha do acknowledge that they have to guard against the negative aspects of their nature, and they openly admit that some Sha do fall. These individuals are known as the Dark Zeison Sha, and they are almost hunted down by their brothers and sisters as soon as they are discovered. The Sha police their own, and it is a rare adept of the dark side that manages to escape their determined pursuit. Indeed, the Zeison Sha are quite formidable in combat. They utilize a weapon known as the discblade, and the discblade serves much the same role as lightsabers do for us. They are rounded, edged weapons with handles for a wielder to grab onto, and the Sha utilize these discblades in combat, flinging them with incredible precision and strength, even able to control the flight of these blades mid-path or return them to their hand. Indeed, the discblade serves as the focal point for much of the Sha's training. They hone their telekinesis by taking the discblade through a multitude of exercises, and they are capable of truly unbelievable feats. The Zeison Sha as a whole become masters of telekinesis that even we cannot compete with. I have witnessed the prowess of a Sha warrior firsthand, and I can attest that their weapon seems like a thing alive, zipping around the room while the Sha themselves engage in devastating hand-to-hand combat. They train in a wide variety of martial arts, and they always combine these skills with the use of their discblade. Many of the Sha even choose to train in the way of Taras Kasi, the martial art infamous for its utility against Jedi and other Force users. But the discblade is not the apex of the Zeison Sha's abilities. Their masters become so adept with telekinesis that they are able to warp space-time around themselves in order to create force fields. I have seen Sha deflect rounds from slug throwers with nothing but the air around themselves. I have watched as vibro swords bounced off an invisible wall around them as if it was made out of durasteel. It is truly an impressive ability, and it would be a rare Jedi Master who managed to mimic this power. The Sha would train you in this ability if you could prove yourself. Unfortunately, that is a bit of an uphill battle for a Jedi. The original refugees left on Yanabar blamed the Jedi for their plight, and truthfully, they were not wholly wrong in laying the blame on our shoulders. They were left on the surface of a harsh world with no hope of rescue. I can understand why they would feel resentful. That resentment, however, was passed down to their descendants, and eventually, distrust of our order became culturally ingrained. It is difficult for us to travel to Yanabar even today. The people are not openly hostile, but they find ways to make their discontent with our order most clear. There have been attempts to bridge the gap between us a few times in our long, shared history. The last time in 580 BBY, when the Jedi Master Bodo Boss approached the Sha in the hopes that they would fold themselves into the Jedi. Master Boss did not have much luck. The Sha were all too happy to show the old Jedi their training methods and even to allow him access to their archives, but they made it quite clear they wanted nothing to do with the Jedi. The suspicion they carry has not dissipated in the centuries since. You may travel to Yanabar at your leisure to view the training of the Zeison Sha at any time. It is not an overtly dangerous world beyond the unforgiving environment, but it is another thing altogether to be accepted under their wing to receive training yourself. In order to do that, you will have to prove yourself a worthy friend of the Sha. I cannot tell you how best to do this. If you wish to learn the ways of the Zeison Sha, then you will simply have to present yourself at Sha Kalan and trust to the will of the Force. I will simply remind each of you, if you do, you are emissaries of the Jedi Order. Do not take offense if they are brusque, and remember, your actions reflect directly upon the rest of us. You can help to heal the scars of the past through your interactions with the Sha. They have much to teach us, and I would highly encourage those with the patience, the curiosity, and the will to make the journey to Yanabar when your duties allow. But I believe that is enough for today. Thank you, esteemed masters, as always, for your presence here in my class. I hope that you have learned something. I will see you all next time. Until then, please take care of yourselves, and as always, may the Force be with you all.